welcome to the Para-Unity Podcast. As always, I'm Brandon.
And I'm Whitney, and surf's up, my friends.
That's right. We are kicking it in style.
We sure are. Can I say, from everybody I've heard so far who have been watching Top Gun Maverick, I've been hearing it's pretty awesome. Maybe this kind of inspires a little bit.
Well, they had to have somebody to base it off of. And, I'm here to help.
It's also, I'm seeing a reflection in the sunglasses.
Oh, yeah. Yep. You can totally see the monitor rocking in this thing.
Yeah. This is us. This is us.
That's
Take
right.
it or leave it.
We're awesome like that.
Happy, yes, and Betsy says Top Gun was awesome indeed. Hi, Betsy. Hi, Troy. Hi, everybody in the chat. Feel free to come and join us. And to all Americans here and abroad, we wish you a happy and memorable Memorial Day weekend.
Absolutely.
And we thank you. We thank all service people, current, past, present, future. We thank you for your service.
Yep.
And all that wonderful stuff.
So we decided to do something a little different than what we normally do, where we have guests on the show and we talk about, their experiences with investigating the paranormal, favorite places, equipment they use, stuff like that. And we kind of figured that at this time of year, we want to go on vacation.
Yeah, to an extent.
So we're going to take a road trip around the United States, hitting a couple places that we think is great, as well as overseas, internationally, some haunted resorts. So strap in, get your boarding pass and your passport ready, because we are going to check out some haunted resorts from around the world.
I'm really excited about this. I've been looking forward to this for a while. So, Brandon,
really, really cool places.
Brandon, where are we going first?
All right, well, let's start off in North Carolina.
Okay.
So we're going to be at Blowing Rock, North Carolina at the Green Park Inn.
Ooh.
So this was founded by the Green Park Company. It's a group of 3 businessmen from Lenoir, North Carolina, led by Civil War veteran Major George Washington Findlay Harper.
Wow, that's a name.
That is a very long name. So here, let me try that again. Apparently my brain is on vacation mode already.
The hotel.
The hotel first opened to guests in the busy summer of 1891.
Nice.
So according to an 1892 promotional brochure authored by Harper. Wow. The hotel was constructed in hopes of providing the area with a more comfortable summer home and built a particular concern for the comfort of its guests.
That sounds nice.
It was. They wanted to make sure they were nice and happy and comfortable and spend lots of money.
Which all resorts want to do.
Exactly. So the original structure spanned over 73,000 square feet on extensive acreage, then known as Green Park. In April of 1891, just prior to the inn's opening, the Lenoir News wrote to the public that the building would feature 60 guest rooms furnished with fireplaces, running water, and electric bell alarms. So that way, if they need anything, dingy, dingy, dingy.
Oh, I like that. Yeah.
It contained the 3 levels, a restaurant, and a bar that's still present today, actually, as well as hot and cold bath amenities, a ballroom, a billiards room, bowling alley, shooting gallery, tennis court, and a telegraph and post office for public use. So the Green Park Inn continued to house the only U.S. post office in the area for many years, and now keeps a portion of its first sorting system in the history room of the hotel.
That's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it'd be really fun to go check it out just for the history of it.
Exactly.
As well as the hauntings of it.
Oh.
So, but not just the coolness of the hotel. There's also been a lot of cool guests. So this North Carolina Inn has played host to a number of luminaries through the years, from Annie Oakley, J.D. Rockefeller, to Margaret Mitchell, who the hotel actually penned a portion of her classic Gone with the Wind while she was staying at the hotel. But
I
for those,
mean,
what?
you never know.
You never know. Maybe you can write your next book there.
Ooh, we'll talk about that later.
All right, but those for a spookier inclination, it is the guests who never left that are the enticement. Room 318 in particular has a folk history of ghostly sightings around it, with some of the guests reporting sounds and electronic interference. And as a matter of fact, this hotel has even been known to leave a ghost log in the lobby for the guests to add their own encounters.
Oh, okay. I've heard of several hotels doing that too. I know that the Belvoir in Kansas, I believe it is, the winery there, they actually have a ghost log in your room where you can write down any experiences you have. And I think also Sudbury, Massachusetts, Longfellow's Wayside Inn does that as well. So that's really cool.
That is very cool.
That's a good way to keep, and logs are a great thing for investigators to see and to have because that'll help them.
That's one of the things I noticed the last time I was at the Granger House, the Victorian Mansion here in town.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have a visitor's log, which is actually meant for people that are just visiting to do the history tour of it. But as I was kind of flipping through the pages, a lot of people log what they find while they're there. That's actually pretty interesting of stuff to look for while you're there.
So what do they mean, I wonder, by electronic interference?
There's interference with their phones,
Oh,
the
okay.
TVs, the radios, stuff like that.
Hmm.
So they get a little wild with the electronics.
That's
And then they
pretty
hear a lot
cool.
of sounds and stuff. And then, of course, obviously, there's been some sightings of ghosts in the building as well.
I like it.
Indeed. So that's a good start.
Well, you know what? I think I will keep the trend and keep us still in the United States. We're going to go a little further south than North
Okay.
Carolina. I'm going to take you to Eureka Springs, Arkansas.
Ooh.
Yeah. So
I almost picked this one as one of mine.
I know. I feel like because we had the wonderful Laura Bernhardt on our show last time, and she wrote in her Wantland Files series a book about the haunting of the Crescent Hotel. I decided, you
Right.
know what? Let's get more into it. And there's a lot of cool stuff at this place, even without the hauntings. So welcome to the Crescent Hotel and Spa in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. Now, the entire city of Eureka Springs is on the National Register for Historic Places. And it's right there in the Ozark Mountains. Now, they do have apparently, hi, Laura, I see her in the chat. And I also see Jenny there saying she's going there in 2 weeks.
I want updates, Jenny.
Jenny, I want to hear all about it too. And so, anyway, a little more about the history of the particular area. The land is the ancestral home of the Osage tribe, with the Shawnee and Delaware also calling the land home. And it's the natural springs in the area that just draws everybody to it. There have been long beliefs about the healing properties of these natural springs. That's what led to the construction of the Crescent Hotel in 1886. But it wasn't always just a hotel. It was also a girls' college. And most notoriously, it was a so-called quote unquote cancer hospital, which was run by quote unquote Dr. Norman Baker. Absolute charlatan. All these poor people came to the Crescent Hotel hoping for a cure for cancer, hoping that they'd be treated, but all they received was death and hopelessness. So quite a really rich and also a pretty nasty history when it comes to the cancer hospital.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Now, quick word about the cancer hospital. Back in 2019, a gardener who was working on site at the hotel found a midden, a trash pit that ended up being filled with at least 500 bottles, all remnants from the quote unquote hospital days. There's a wonderful
What kind of bottles were they?
Glass bottles, things like such as what Norman Baker used as treatment, and
Huh.
also with all these fake cures, such as he would use like silk threads or something like that in his bottle. I mean, the point is, this guy was not just using Coca-Cola to treat people. He was using some pretty nasty stuff. But I've included a link to it in the show notes. So if you guys want to just go to the website for the Crescent Hotel, check out what they found there. It is mind-boggling. Go archaeologists. But and also they have a really cool history archive room on the fourth floor of the hotel where you can go and see photographs and different images from the hotel's history. It's really cool. But you can also go there for the ghosts and hear what they have to say to you. One of the apparitions includes an Irish stonemason by the name of who's called Michael. He is said to have fallen to his death during the hotel's construction and apparently likes to hang out in room 218. Another ghost is said to be named Theodora. She was a cancer patient, and she has been seen in the hallway in front of room 419 looking for her keys. Another thing is she also likes to tidy the room for guests when there's nobody else in there. Yeah, pretty cool. Now,
what's funny about that
yeah,
is
what?
a lot of these hotels and resorts that we picked out, I was looking through the list of them and the information. There's a lot of ghosts at these hotels that actually clean the rooms for you.
Isn't that, hey, I mean, I think it's great service.
True.
I mean, and I'm wondering if I should leave a tip. I mean, is it good etiquette to actually leave a tip for housekeeping if it ends up being a ghost?
I don't know. Would they be able to take it though?
I mean, in some cultures, money is a good way to feed a ghost.
Or is it going to be a trigger object at that point?
Ooh, that's another thought too. Oh, I love it. And I also love this other ghost that I found at the Crescent Hotel, Morris, the hotel cat. And
That's all you.
And he was so beloved, they actually made him general manager of the hotel for 21 years. And he is buried on the hotel site, and his ghostly form is reported by many. In addition to a great, yes, bless you, huh?
So literally, your checks are signed by a ghost cat.
Hey, and Morris, and apparently Morris was an orange tabby.
Of course.
Doesn't that remind you of that one cat in the cat food commercials?
Yes.
I love it.
That was the same name too. Yes.
Same name. I mean, you got to wonder, was it the same cat?
That cat makes bank. Oh my gosh.
Cat, or more to the point, the cat made bank.
Well, it's still making it apparently.
Yeah.
General manager.
Oh boy. Also, another thing is apparently because of the archaeology done back in 2019 when the bottle midden was found. Midden is a fancy word for trash heap, basically, in archaeological terms. Okay. But the activity in the morgue stepped up, and there was a morgue back in the cancer hospital days. And if you remember from that episode of Ghost Hunters, Jason and Grant did zoom in on that autopsy table. That's legit. That actually came from that time period. It's pretty awesome. But even more awesome was that one ghostly figure that they saw through the lens of the thermal camera. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, go check it out on you. I mean, Ghost Hunter episodes are everywhere, so go check that out. But needless to say, there's a lot going on at the Crescent Hotel.
Absolutely. It sounds like it. Jenny, we do want to hear from you to see how your trip there goes in a couple weeks. So please let us know.
Do, Jenny. I want to hear all about it. And Betsy also said, can I get a ghost to clean my house? As a writer, I don't have time for domestic endeavors. Truth.
I'm not a writer, and I could still use a ghost to clean my house.
I think anybody should. I think it's a lovely thing. Thank you, Jenny. Take lots of pictures. Absolutely. And also, we're happy that Laura joined us on the show and waved and everything. So, Laura, I hope you're feeling a little bit better. Get some rest, though. Speaking
Yeah,
of
no
rest,
kidding.
I'm ready to take it easy on the next trip. So, Brandon,
All right.
where are we off to?
This one's going to be a short one.
Okay.
Just because a lot of the information about this hotel is actually. So, we're going to head out to San Francisco.
I love San Fran.
Yeah. The rice-a-roni, right?
Mm-mm. No, just a really nice area.
Well, we're going to go to the Queen Anne Hotel in San Francisco.
All right.
They're doing everything in their power to try and not have everything about haunted in there. They're trying to kind of change their view of it. So it's very hard to get a lot of information about this place.
I can respect that.
But with the stuff that's been going on there and the fact that it was on a TV show, I felt we should probably talk about it.
Okay.
It fit very nicely. So, like I said, I don't have a whole lot of information of it, but the Queen Anne Hotel is a hotel in San Francisco on Sutter Street. The hotel is a historic 1890 Victorian mansion. It's in the namesake of the Queen Anne architectural style, and it's nestled amongst the other painted ladies in the charming Pacific Heights Victorian Edwardian mansions.
Ooh, pretty.
It is a gorgeous, gorgeous hotel.
Wow.
It really is.
Ooh.
But it was originally a girls' boarding school. It narrowly survived the 1906 San Francisco earthquake. And we say barely, it's barely is the correct terminology for it. It barely survived. But this iconic San Francisco hotel was, excuse me. Let me just kind of keep reading over the same stuff tonight. I am a hot mess.
You're fine. You're fine.
Anyways.
This is us.
This is like true to live form. Thank you, allergies, for making my brain go bye-bye. Aww. Anyways, but when it was a girls' boarding school, it had a kind-hearted head mistress, Miss Mary Lake. And she decided to stick around after dying suddenly just years after the school opened.
Oh.
So she tends to stay in room 401, where she's known to cover up sleeping travelers with blankets, and sometimes she even unpacks their suitcases.
I love it.
Talk about excellent service.
I would say so.
Nothing like getting your bags unpacked and an extra blanket put on you when you're cold at night.
I think that's actually kind of sweet, although I would be a little weirded out.
Well, she was a headmistress that took care of little girls, and she was very kind-hearted. So, I mean, of course, she wants to watch out for everybody.
Sounds good.
What hotel? Yeah. What? Yeah. So that was the next thing I was going to say. Is this hotel's paranormal history was explored on an episode of the television show Haunted Hotels.
All right. And honestly, I'm actually okay that it wants to not put so much of its information. Hotels and resorts, I've noticed, are one way or the other when it comes to talking about hauntings. They're of one mind of, okay, it does bring in business, and that is true. A lot of hotels and resorts do benefit from it, but at the same time, there is still that, well, we want people to stay, and we don't want to deal with people checking out in the middle of the night and all that. So I get it. It's totally fine. And, it's totally fine.
I mean, it's got to be tough on them too, because
I think so too.
When you come out and say that you're haunted or you have ghosts or spirits or anything in your hotel, you're only going to draw in a certain type of people. Because I guarantee you, Betty and Barney down the street that are 80 some years old going on vacation, they're not going to want to stay in a haunted place. They're going to go in a place that they can relax and enjoy their time. Go to the antique stores, stuff like that. They're not going to want to deal with haunted spirits in their hotel room. So if you advertise it, that's the type of people you're going to get.
I think so too. And, each to his own. But I've got an interesting hotel. How about we go to Hawaii?
Ooh, all right.
We're off to Hawaii. Have you ever been to Hawaii?
No.
Okay. I have once, but this is not the hotel I stayed at because, well, actually the hotel's not there anymore. Aloha.
Exactly.
First off, I do want to give credit where I first heard about this hotel to Uncle Jared, who is the host of the Ghost Lore of Hawaii podcast. It's new. It just started its second season. He is
Very cool.
amazing. So go check him out, guys. And Jared, if I see you, thanks for all the help and can't wait to hear from you again. So on the Big Island of Hawaii in Keauhou Bay, and I probably mispronounced that because I suck, but in this location, you may find what resembles jumbles of volcanic rock on the beach. But whatever you do, don't mess around with those rocks. These are referred to as heiaus, which are platforms of volcanic rock constructed for human sacrifices.
At a what? At a
Yeah.
hotel?
I'm getting to the hotel part. This is on the beachfront outside of where the hotel was located.
That definitely says welcome to our hotel. Human sacrifice.
Well, in the ancient Hawaiian religions, human sacrifice was said to create a life energy called mana, which would be absorbed by Hawaiian royalty, priests, and the upper class. And they would absorb this life energy to make them stronger and more powerful. Now, one of the most brutal sacrifices was during the early 18th century when the king of Maui fell in battle against the king of the Big Island, or the king of Hawaii Island.
Sure.
The king of Maui was impaled on a heiau. However, he wasn't killed right away. Instead, he was kept alive. They gave him water, but they did not give him food. So 11 days later, he died. Perhaps the energy from the heiaus might explain the hauntings of the former Kona Lagoon Hotel. It was meant to be an opulent hotel, and the pictures of it are beautiful. It's right there on the beachfront on the Big Island of Hawaii, where there was prime tourist locations. This is a huge tourist area. However, in 1988, the Kona Lagoon Hotel closed down, and that was 4 years after it opened.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, the official story was its Japanese owners ran out of money and couldn't really find a way to get back on their feet and to keep the hotel going. But even before it closed, guests reported sightings of shadow figures, strange lights, and blood-curdling screams. And even after it closed down, security guards who were patrolling the property would still report incidents so frightening, many of them would quit right on the spot. So that's that. Now, the Kona Lagoon Hotel was demolished in 2004. And while plans have been discussed for what to do with the beachfront property, nothing has happened since.
That's super interesting. Because if you think about it, I mean, how hard is it to keep a business open on a beachfront property in Hawaii?
I mean, the 80s were a weird time.
Yes, the 80s were a weird time.
But, I mean, who knows? Unfortunately, I don't have a whole lot more information about that, but I'm looking forward to hearing more. And who knows? Maybe we can actually talk to somebody who knows some more about Hawaiian folklore and ghost lore.
True. Well, it makes me wonder then if this would have been something that, or I wonder if the stones are still there.
They are. I've seen pictures.
They haven't touched them.
In fact, in Hawaii, according to here, this is an important tourist tip. Heiaus would be considered no trespassing property. In fact, sometimes tourists, they might not see a sign that's written in traditional Hawaiian language, or they might just not notice it or not take it seriously, and they'll actually climb on these stones. That's a big no-no. Big no-no. Just like taking rocks and sand from the Hawaiian Islands. Also big no-no. Don't do it.
Jenny, I agree with you. If everyone wants to chip in, she'll go and take pictures in Hawaii for us too.
Hey, sounds like, I mean, the last time I went to Hawaii was when my son was 3. I do want to go back. We stayed in a different location called the Disney Aulani Resort.
That doesn't count.
Yeah, it was fun.
Uh,
Yeah, I think with this, I think this is a big visit. So go
all right,
fun.
so just remember, if you're going to be in Hawaii, don't climb on the rocks if there's an old Hawaiian sign nearby.
Yeah, I cannot remember the actual word of it, but I'll look it up and I'll post it on our Facebook page so that way people know. It's just good manners, whether you believe or not. It's respect for that culture. So
100%.
all right. Well, I've taken us to a tropical paradise where there's definitely some ghost lore. So where are you taking us now, Brandon?
I'm actually going to take us back into the States and then further across the other ocean to go to London.
Ooh, my favorite. I've always wanted to go there. I love London.
So we're going to be in London, England for this next one. And we're going to be at the Langham Hotel in London.
Ooh.
So Langham was designed by John Giles and was built by the Lucas brothers between 1863 and 1865 at a cost of around £300,000, which would be equivalent to about 29,324,832 pounds if it would have been in 2020.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. So it was then the largest and most modern hotel in the city, and it featured 100 water closets, 36 bathrooms, and the first hydraulic lifts in England. Isn't that insane?
That's amazing.
Staggering. So the opening ceremony was on June 10th of 1865 and was performed by the Prince of Wales.
Ooh.
Yeah, very fancy. Anyways, after the original company was liquidated during an economic slump, the new management acquired the hotel for a little more than half of its construction costs, and it soon became a commercial success.
I like it.
Yeah. In 1867, an American former Union Army officer, James Sanderson, was appointed general manager, and the hotel developed an extensive American clientele, which included Mark Twain and the financier Hedda Green. Hetty Green. Yes. Now, this hotel was also frequented by Napoleon III, Oscar Wilde, Dvorak, and Toscanini.
Nice.
Yes. So electric lights were installed in the entrance in the courtyard at the early date of 1879.
That is super early.
That is super early. And for my authors out there, Arthur Conan Doyle set the Sherlock Holmes stories A Scandal in Bohemia and The Sign of Four partly at the Langham.
Oh, I'll have to go back and reread that.
Yeah.
Nice.
So the Langham continued throughout the 20th century to be a favorite spot with members of the royal family such as Diana, Princess of Wales.
Rest in peace, Diana.
And politicians including Winston Churchill and Charles de Gaulle. Other guests included Noel Coward, Wallace Simpson, Don Bradman, Emperor Haile Selassie of Ethiopia, and Ayumi Hamasaki.
Wow.
Yeah, everybody who's anybody stays at the Langham.
And I bet there were plenty of people that didn't check out.
Indeed. So now the Langham Hotel in London is reportedly home to a number of ghosts, including a doctor who murdered his wife and then committed suicide. There's a man with a deep wound on his face. There's a former butler who wanders the hallways. And of course, Napoleon III.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Huh.
So the spirits are so active in this over 150-year-old hotel, they drove out several English national team cricket players back in 2014 who all cited that sudden heat and lights and an unexplained presence during the night kept them awake.
Oh boy, that's awesome. Oh, that sounds like fun. I want to go there now.
So if anybody follows cricket, if you were curious why English bombed it in 2014, that would be why.
Whew. Oh man. You know what? I have to bask in the awesomeness of how many amazing individuals stay at these resorts and these hotels.
Oh yeah,
I
that
mean,
list was huge.
that's a huge list. And I definitely have some on my list as well, but I'm
Well, and
going to,
I took some of the names out of there for simplicity, mostly because I couldn't pronounce them.
yes. We'll forgive you for that. I mean, it's sometimes these hotels, especially that have such a huge history, they have photographs in their lobbies of everybody who's ever stayed there.
Oh,
It's
for
so
sure.
cool. It's so cool to
Yeah.
just look at that. But
I
I
always love
want to,
those restaurants that do that too, that have like the pictures of all the celebrities that have come and
oh,
gone.
yeah. Oh,
Super
yeah.
cool.
Oh, I love it. I've actually wanted to know something. What makes a place a resort? You ever
Uh,
known that?
I could probably tell you.
Tell me.
I'd have to look it up.
Okay, well, while you're looking that up, how about I take you guys down a trip down memory lane? I'm going to take you to a hotel that I've actually stayed at in another country. I am going to take you guys to the Grand Hyatt Hotel in Taipei, Taiwan.
Ooh,
So, I lived in Taiwan for nearly 7 years, and I actually do know this hotel fairly well. It's in a very key location in the capital city, Taipei. It is located in the very fashionable and swanky Xinyi district, which is always busy. And it's right next door to Taipei 101, which up until the Serif Khalif was built, it was the tallest building in the world.
very nice.
So
Very
there
nice.
you go. But yeah, we would stay there sometimes. Me and my husband and my son, we would stay there sometimes because, you know, you just want to be a tourist and maybe you want to treat yourself to a little overnight or a little weekend with some downtown luxury. And the Grand Hyatt Taipei fits that bill. So it opened in 1990. And funny enough, Taipei, the Grand Hyatt was the last place where we stayed on our last night before we left Taiwan back in 2017.
Oh,
I
did you
have
see
fond
anything
memories.
cool?
Okay, so here's some of the stories. Now, I have heard that many stories that ghosts walk the halls of this posh hotel. Guests would report the sound of loud knocking on their doors in the middle of the night, but when they open the doors and when they check, there's no one around. They also report shadowy apparitions appearing in the hotel rooms, and also the toilets flushing randomly by unseen hands.
Oh, joy.
Yeah, that's always fun. Now, there is actually a belief because, according to some Chinese religions' belief, um, when you check into a hotel room, it's customary to actually knock 3 times on the hotel door. That gives any spirits that might be still in that room a chance to leave before you walk in.
Huh.
Yeah. And also, just so you know, usually around July or August, that is what we call Ghost Month in the Chinese lunar calendar. And that is a whole month dedicated to respect for ancestors. And remember how I said ghosts can be hungry? Well,
Sure.
that's a belief in some of the Chinese religions that sometimes ghosts that return to Earth during Ghost Month, they don't have anyone that's respected where their grave is. They don't have anyone to remember them. So they walk the earth as the hungry ghosts. And the best way to appease them is to burn incense, burn fake money called joss money, and provide them with food.
Huh.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I mean, I was there for 7 years and, I saw some pretty interesting things. However, I hate to tell you guys this, I never experienced anything at the Grand Hyatt Taipei. Sorry. However, there is a legend that the Grand Hyatt Taipei was built on the site of an old prison camp. That has been debunked. The hotel was actually built on the site of a munitions warehouse. But it still doesn't change the fact that Taiwan did have a very turbulent history and still does.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, there's human habitation has been on Taiwan for more than 6,000 years, from people from the Austronesian language group all the way through the Dutch and Portuguese sailors, Han Chinese fishermen, and the Japanese. China's Qing dynasty annexed Taiwan in 1683, and after they lost the First Sino-Japanese War, the island was turned over to Japan. Taiwan today is a very developed country. It's got a female president, and actually I was there when she was elected.
Nice.
She's so cool. She also is elected now for a second term, so that was cool. Tsai Ing-wen is her name. It's also rated very highly when it comes to healthcare and human development and civil liberties. But its political status as a nation and as an independent country is still challenged to this day. In fact, it's considered not just Taiwan, it's also considered ROC, Republic of China. So there's that. The other side of it, too, is there are still scars from what's known as the White Terror, where Chiang Kai-shek's Nationalist Party, the KMT, or the Kuomintang, instituted martial law from the 1940s until 1987.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
Yeah, we were kind of experiencing that. Actually, not too far from the Grand Hyatt is a very special location called the 228 Peace Park. February 28th, 1947, there was a massacre of Taiwanese civilians by the KMT because they were trying to root out communists and political dissidents. So, yeah, lots to tell about Taiwan, and maybe there are hauntings, just not what we expect. We're haunted by more than ghosts sometimes.
For sure.
Let's lighten the mood. Come on, give us something happy.
Oh, you want happy?
Yeah,
happy.
Give us something fun, because that did kind of bring us down a little bit. Sorry.
All right. Well, first off, the difference between a hotel and a resort.
Okay.
Hotels, our primarily purpose is to provide comfortable lodging. That's it. A resort is more like a self-contained development that can be a destination in its own right. So they would have like dining, entertainment, shopping, stuff like that, all within a resort.
Perfect. There we go.
So, speaking of the resorts, let's head back to the States.
Okay.
And we're going to go right to the border of California and Nevada to Lake Tahoe.
Ooh, Tahoe.
That's where the big money is.
Mm-hmm.
So, built in 1926 by a San Francisco businessman, the Neva Lodge in North Lake Tahoe was a hot spot for the wealthy in the 1930s. In the 1960s, however, Frank Sinatra bought the lodge and built secret tunnels between the bungalows behind the hotel and the showroom.
Ooh.
The tunnels were carpeted and lined with brick, so famous guests could pass without being detected by paparazzi. Takes one to know one, right?
Go old Blue Eyes.
So its celebrity room was once graced by Judy Garland and Ella Fitzgerald. Wow. Marilyn Monroe stayed here actually the week of her death.
Oh.
So that's kind of interesting.
That is interesting.
And those underground tunnels I talked about were actually allegedly used to move mobsters in and from the guest rooms.
Now, knowing, I'm not saying I know anything, but having an idea that Frank Sinatra was involved, I mean, I've got my suspicions about the Rat Pack.
Well, the Kennedys also stayed here too.
Ah, there you go. And if Marilyn Monroe was here the week of her death.
Yeah, I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah. Okay, moving on.
We're going from haunted resorts to conspiracy theory. Oh, and
We are not okay. I am keeping an eye for laser pointers on our heads, and so far so good. We're good. We're good.
All right. So the legendary Neva Lodge and Casino has been shuttered since 2013, locking inside its many secrets and scandals. However, after being purchased by Oracle founder Larry Ellison, it's on its way to welcoming guests once more. Even without its celebrity lore, the Neva has plenty going for it. It straddles right on the state line between California and Nevada, thus the name, and it offers the best of everything. Sweeping views of Lake Tahoe, high-stakes gambling, and luxury lodging.
Nice.
Gorgeous.
Ooh.
So the lodge was constructed in 1926. 4 years later, it made national headlines for being the first star-studded scandal of America's it girl, Clara Bow.
Oh.
She was accused by management of passing almost $14,000, which would be about $200,000 today, in canceled checks in order to pay off her sizable gambling debts.
Oh.
Whoops. So Bow claimed that she thought her blackjack chips were only worth 50 cents, when in fact the resort said they were each $100.
There's a big difference between 50 cents and $100.
Right? So this was just the beginning of the long history of celebrity drama. So the ghosts here include both those of Marilyn Monroe and Frank Sinatra, have both been seen in the resort swimming pool and also in the cabins overlooking Lake Tahoe.
You know, I think maybe next season or some point, I really would like to do an episode about the ghost of Marilyn Monroe, because she is reported in numerous locations.
Oh, for sure. Her and Edgar Allan Poe.
Oh, yeah. Him too. I mean, it's interesting. I actually would like to do some research about all the ghosts that are reported in multiple areas. And what's the draw? Why are so many people seeing them in so many places? That would be so cool to explore.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. Staying on that, Whitney, I'm going to cut you off and I'm going to say another one because it is connected again.
Do it.
So this is the Fairmont Banff Springs Hotel up in Alberta.
I love that place.
Yeah. So the Fairmont Banff Springs, it's formerly and commonly known as Banff Springs Hotel. It's a historic hotel located in Banff, Alberta, Canada. The entire town, including the hotel, is situated in Banff County or Banff National Park. It's a national park managed by Parks Canada, and the hotel overlooks a valley towards Mount Rundle, both of which are situated within the Rocky Mountain mountain range.
Gorgeous.
Yes. So the hotel opened in 1888 by the Canadian Pacific Railway as one of the earliest of Canada's grand railway hotels. So the hotel property has undergone several stages of growth and redevelopment. However, the original hotel structure was designed by Bruce Price, with another structure completed in 1914. So in 1926, a fire destroyed the original structure on the hotel property, although a replacement structure was later completed in 1928. So they were moving quick. They rebuilt it within 2 years. So the building was designated as a National Historic Site of Canada in 1988. And the hotel property is presently managed by the Fairmont Hotels and Resorts and has welcomed guests throughout history, including none other than Marilyn Monroe, Helen Keller, and Queen Elizabeth II.
Nice.
I just saw Marilyn's name again. It's like, better lump those together.
Yeah, let's tie her together. It's fine. But
the Fairmont does have a tad more darker side once you get inside. And we're not talking about the architecture.
Although the architecture is pretty goth. I love it.
Oh, yeah. Very gothic. Very gothic. Several ghosts have been reported as regulars, including a bride who supposedly fell down the stone staircase during her wedding.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But there is a less tragic spirit, too. Sam the Bellman.
Mm-hmm.
He worked in the hotel until 1975 and claimed he'd come back to haunt the joint.
Is that what he actually said? That would be awesome.
Yes, that's actually what he said. He claimed said it would always be known as saying he is going to come back and haunt the joint.
I love it.
So his spirit supposedly pulls shifts, helping people with their bags before disappearing.
Wow.
Yes. So, according to hotel lore, there was a family staying in room 873, and they were murdered, and the
Ooh.
spirits never left the room.
Oh.
Yeah. So here's the crazy part of that: the guests who stay in that room after it's cleaned up, or who stayed in it after it's cleaned up, reported being woken up by shrieks and screams. The maids who clean the room allegedly find bloody fingerprints on the mirrors that can't be cleaned off.
Oh, wow.
But in actuality, in response to the reports, hotel management now has sealed off that room.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you're not going to get 5 stars if you have bloody fingerprints on your mirrors.
Yeah, I wouldn't suggest that. That would bring down business for sure.
Yeah, maybe just a little bit.
Just a bit.
But a lot of guests are still reporting that they can experience hauntings in the vicinity of that room, because you can still obviously get to that door. And
Ew.
it's right around near that room. They're still getting a lot of activity.
Ooh. That's fat. I mean, I've heard of the Banff Hotel many times before. It's a gorgeous location.
Oh,
and
it's huge.
It's sprawling. And I think I heard a rumor that when they initially built using the stone that they got was initially blue, but then it turned red, then it turned brown.
It could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Now, I do have one last hint of luxury and darkness for you. This is
Okay.
my last hotel. Are you ready for this one?
Yeah, bring it on. Where
Let's
are we going?
go. We're going to Mumbai, also known as
Ooh.
Bombay in India. We're going to check into the Taj Mahal Palace Hotel.
Oh, I looked at this one too.
Isn't it gorgeous?
Oh, it is. Looks just like the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the idea.
I would assume so.
And the accommodations are absolutely stunning, and the clientele is world-renowned and famous, from celebrities to government officials. Barack Obama has been there. Alfred Hitchcock stayed there. The Beatles, in various stages of the Beatles. It's just amazing. So the doors opened officially in 1903, at least 8 years before the foundation was laid for its neighbor, the gateway to India, which you can see from the hotel. The Taj Mahal Palace Hotel was designed by Indian architects and was the site of many firsts. The first hotel in India with electricity, as well as German elevators, British butlers, American fans, and Turkish baths.
Wow.
It was also the first nightclub in India and the first licensed bar in Mumbai. So much went on there. So many people came and went. Now, during the First World War, the hotel was converted into a 600-bed hospital for the military. So that might have something to do with some things that have been left behind. But but a more recent tragedy plagued the hotel. In November of 2008, the hotel was one of the sites of the 26/11 terrorist attacks. From November 26th through the 29th, members of the Lashkar-e-Taiba from Pakistan launched 12 coordinated attacks around Mumbai, where in the end, 175 people were killed and 300 wounded. At the attack on the hotel, there were 6 explosions through the lobby, I think 3 of the restaurants and 2 of the elevators.
Wow.
They also took 200 hostages. And at the end, 31 people died during the attack on the hotel. I have a neighbor who lives across the street from me, who's originally from Mumbai, and he remembers when this happened. He knew people there. Actually, a member of his family runs a shop in the hotel.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, pretty potent. It's a very strong likelihood that if there are ghosts, I wouldn't be surprised if any of that came from the attacks. But there is a legend of a man named W.A. Chambers, who is a British architect who took over the building of the hotel partway through partway through the construction. So he was back in the early 1900s. The legend has it that before he went on vacation, he approved of a blueprint of the hotel. But when he came back, he realized he had made a big mistake, and the hotel was facing the opposite direction than what he had intended. As it turns out, Chambers was reported to be a bit of a perfectionist, and this mistake just ate at him until he committed suicide by jumping from the 5th floor of the hotel. So guests report his apparition. Yeah. Now, I actually don't know if this is a true story because I can't find anything about it. So take it with a grain of salt.
It kills me that he was so mad that the hotel was facing the wrong direction. He killed
Well,
himself.
I've heard of that happening to other people before too. I think I heard something about another hotel. I cannot remember for the life of me which one it is, but an architect was so bent out of shape about how it was built, and it's like, that's not what I intended, and it just aided him so much that when he finally died, and I don't think he committed suicide, but when he finally died, his ghost returned to the hotel to haunt it and basically be like, man, this didn't work out right. And apparently
you would think that if you were an architect that was planning that, you would want to be more involved.
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know when it switched to the. Now, there was a story that one of the original financier of the hotel, who was an Indian businessman, he was told that he could not check into one of the hotels that was already there because it was built by the British, and basically it was like, oh, only whites here. So he apparently built Taj Mahal Palace Hotel in response to that. That might be an anecdote, but India has a history of so much with colonialism and imperialism and just very deep history. But yeah,
sure.
Apparently W.A. Chambers is not a pleasant guy to run into in his ghostly form. So watch yourself around him.
I guess. All right. Well, I have one last place for us to go to.
Let's go.
So we're not going to go too far away from you. We're going to go a little northwest up to Northern Ireland.
Love it.
We're going to be at the Galley Castle.
Hey!
So the Galley Castle, affectionately dubbed the Jewel in the Hastings Crown, was purchased by the Hastings Hotels Group in 1966, and over the years, various extensions and renovations have transformed it into a charming hotel it is today. So it's received official 4-star status from the Northern Ireland Tourist Board in 2007 and in 2014. The hotel underwent further major refurbishment and expansions, with the addition of 10 new coastal deluxe bedrooms and a new larger reception area and the stunning new entire ballroom. All developments at the castle have been very carefully undertaken as to not distract from the history of the original building. So the castle's distinctive character comes from the fact that it dates back to 1625.
Nice.
Yeah. So the Galley Castle is unique that it's the only 17th century building in Northern Ireland still being used as a residence.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Nice.
Isn't that awesome?
I love it.
All right. So it's like I said, it was built in 1625 by James Shaw and his wife Isabella Brisbane. Shaw, who's a native of Greenock, Scotland, came to Ireland in 1606 to seek his fortune. In 1613, he received a sub-grant of land from the Earl of Antrim. And it was on this land that he built the castle. Cool. So the original castle served as a place of refuge for the Protestants during the Civil Wars. During that time, it was handed down from father to son, and in 1799, it was passed to William Shaw, the last squire of Ballygally.
That is the best name, Ballygally.
That's why I put it in there so many times, right? So in the early 1800s, the Shaw family lost their wealth and the estate was sold to the Agnew family for the crazy sum of £15,400.
And if any of our British and Irish listeners can tell us how much that's actually worth, that would be great.
Not much. Well, it probably was a lot, considering that was back in the early 1800s. But
True.
All right. Well, for several years, it was used as a Coast Guard station before the Reverend Crescent Porter and his family took residence there. And it was then, after that, taken over by the Moore family. They then sold it to the textile millionaire, Mr. Cyril Lord. Cyril Lord, in the early 1950s, who refurbished it as a hotel.
That's cool. I mean, so that's the thing with castles. They change hands so much.
Oh, they do. Well, I mean, who's going to keep one? You can't afford it.
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. I've never.
It depends.
All right. Well, adjacent to such sites as Ballygally Bay and the Carfanac County Park, Ballygally Castle isn't just a vital pit stop on the Coastal Causeway road trip. It's also extremely haunted.
Hooray!
So there's a 17th century castle. It's said to be home to the ghost of Lady Isabel Shaw, who perished here after falling out of a tower window. Whoops.
Oh.
So her phantom reportedly roams the hotel's halls, occasionally knocking on guest doors. No, that's not room service knocking.
It is of a kind.
Maybe.
Oh, wow.
So the hotel has even designated a special ghost room in her honor. So according to the manager, Olga Henry, one guest was staying in one of the rooms in the tower beneath the ghost room. And in the middle of the night, he awoke and thought he was at home with one of his children because it had laid a hand on his back.
Oh.
That would be a way to wake up.
Wait, he was... Okay, so I guess he must have been so drowsy.
He started dreaming that he was home with his children.
Okay.
And he thought it was one of his kids putting his hand on his back.
That's a crazy dream.
Yeah, so he woke up and said he could hear a child running around the room and laughing, but nothing could be seen. So he ran to the lobby in his underwear in fright.
Oh, man. Poor guy.
Yeah. In December of 2003, the manager, Henry, had set up the dungeon room in the tower as they were expecting guests and ordered the tables neatly prepared for a meal. She locked the room and later checked up on it, and the table was now in a mess with unfolded napkins and glasses and with unusual scum all over them. And they were now arranged haphazardly and in a circle on the table.
Scum?
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know where ghosts get scum from, but I don't
want to know.
We're not going to go there.
No.
So mediums spending the night in the castle often report that they've detected more ghosts than their actual guests staying in the hotel.
Sheesh. Well, it sounds like a rollicking good time for me. And of course, we didn't talk about every single hotel. I mean, there's so many cool. I mean, I deliberately left the Stanley Hotel off the list because everybody knows about the Stanley Hotel.
Oh yeah, and there's tons of places like that. I mean, you could look at the bed and breakfast out there where they did that they turned the one out on the East Coast. I can't think of her name.
Lizzie Borden.
Yeah, the Lizzie Borden bread and breakfast. I mean, there's so many places like that. But I wanted to get some good places that, maybe you've heard of them, maybe you didn't. Maybe now you'll want to go see them.
Yeah. And also just kind of get you guys aware about other countries, especially countries outside of what you may be familiar with too, because there's so many rich traditions of stories and folklore, and we wouldn't be Perry Unity if we didn't include that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, guys, what a road trip. What an air trip. I have jet lag. I don't know about you, Brandon.
I very well could be.
Oh, Lord. Well, you know what? I think it's time to turn it in for the night. And guys, happy Memorial Day to our American listeners. Happy beginning of the summer holidays for everybody. And I think we're going to be in for a pretty good summer, hopefully. Knock on wood. But guys, thank you all again for tuning in. And if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please remember to take a second to rate us 5 stars or leave us a review. It helps us to get the word out about the show, and we really want your feedback so we can help make the show better.
That's right, Whitney. And if you're an Android listener, you can follow us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, or Google Podcasts, so you never miss an episode. And as always, you can simply just say, Alexa, play the Para Unity podcast.
Wait, did you just try to do a British accent?
No, I'm not that good.
All right.
I just try to say it differently every time.
Okay.
That way if people actually listen, they'll laugh at me.
Good point.
Remember, if you like the show, tell a friend. If you want to be a guest on the show or you want more Para Unity, please join us on our Facebook or Instagram pages. If you want to help support the show, please stop by our website and buy us a coffee. But my name is Brandon.
And I'm Whitney, and you have been listening to the best place to bring our paranormal teams a little closer together, the Para Unity Podcast. Good night, everyone.
Good night.